Why is the IAB Video Leadership Summit important to you?
The Leadership Summit is important because it's not only about networking and hearing sort of the latest trends. We get good perspectives about what's happening from a Wall Street perspective. And most importantly, you get to hear directly from your peers about how they're thinking about some of the challenges we're currently facing, because there are a lot of them at this particular juncture in video.
Speaking of challenges and issues, what are one or two of the most important issues you see today in the video space?
One of the most important things happening in the video space is the transformation of distribution methodology. So historically, video, or as I like to call it, television, was handled via a legacy distribution method, over-the-air, broadcast, cable, and now we're moving entirely to an over-the-top internet delivery mechanism. And that's changing everything that we do. It's changing how we think about targeting, about how we think about buying, how we think about measurement, and how we buy overall on behalf of our clients. So there's no shortage of challenge in that. But I think as an industry, we're definitely going to meet that challenge. It's just a question of how fast we can move.
And there definitely are challenges, and that requires innovation, clearly. So tell us what's happening on the innovation front with Omnicom Media Group.
There is no shortage of innovation right now. So if you think about all the challenges we face from an identity perspective, from a consumer privacy perspective, from an access to data perspective, in terms of how we're going to manage expectations for reach and audience delivery, right now the single biggest initiative we have in Omnicom Media Group is really access in a privacy safe way. And we're really focused on new capabilities in the clean room space and looking at how we're going to access and bring together data sets from multiple clean rooms to provide holistic video planning, holistic video measurement for our clients. And we really feel like this is the space that we need to be ahead on, because certainly the measurement companies are not ahead. We might be actually leading them to water in this case and making sure that they're getting access to the data sets that they need to enable third-party verification and measurement. So it's really, really, really been a core focus of Omnicom Media Group to tackle that challenge in terms of data access and privacy-safe data access for our clients.
So speaking of measurement, where do you think measurement, attention and currency are headed for the remainder of 2023 and into 2024?
For the remainder of 23, we're still living in a little bit of a bifurcated world where we have Nielsen panel-only data dominating the linear space, and we have digital impression data dominating the streaming delivery space. And I don't really see that changing fundamentally until we truly adopt standards for cross-platform currency, cross-platform measurement, et cetera. And we have a lot of expectations and hope from the recent Joint Industry Committee process that we're going through and the rubric that we're going to deliver that enables sort of sound judgment, industry-wide judgment on what's available now and why, and what we should be doing that's positive and what we should be doing less of that's potentially misleading or not as important to focus on as an industry. So we really, really, really want to see the JIC live up to its goals and make sure we're establishing some basic standards as we go forward.
Speaking of the industry as a whole, where would you like to see IAB focus its efforts to move the video space forward?
I think I have a lot of confidence in the IAB's performance on behalf of our industry in the public policy space and how we want to engage Washington in terms of privacy governance. Right now, our piecemeal approach, state by state in the United States, is really, really tricky to manage. So I think the IAB is key to providing a leadership role in that public policy space in terms of how we go about a regulatory framework that makes sense for consumer privacy. And I think from a television perspective and a video perspective, one of the things we really lean on is the IAB Tech Lab and the IAB ability to create connected television standards for measurement and for transactions that can be adopted by the entire industry. So we really, really appreciate that role that the IAB leans in to play on both of those fronts.
What are the current challenges and trends that you see with regard to the consumer experience?
The number one challenge in consumer experience in streaming, sadly, is still ads won't load. There's still some hiccups. And then the flip side of that is there are too many of the same ad loading for a given consumer. And that is a challenge that we can solve. That's the whole point of going digital, is to be able to have the right data sets in play so that we can manage global frequency across television in a way that we never could in linear. So I do think that the future is looking very bright to tackle those challenges. I just think that historically, these players have not had to cooperate in the streaming world. There was no need, there was no push from the scale perspective to do so, but now we're entering into a more cooperative era because there's a ton of scale. And it's a little bit of a soft marketplace, so everyone has to cooperate to survive.
Where in the current video landscape are you advising your clients to spend their advertising dollars?
So it was interesting on the stage this morning. We heard that that there's this perception that spend isn't following viewership or isn't following viewership time, and we actually take the opposite view at Omnicom Media Group. That's exactly where we're advising our clients to spend, which is where the consumers are spending the majority of their time, which is why you're going to see a massive shift, particularly in this year's upfront, to streaming delivery and an emphasis on streaming.